Hello, Annemarieke.
Hello.
And hello. So nice to see you.
So nice to
Uh,
see you.
I wanted to have a chat about your stunning, beautiful full issue that you realized for Vogue Netherland. I have to
Yeah.
say, we've done a few full issues at the agency, and I know how hard it is to put a full issue together. And I have to say that when I saw it, I thought it was stunning. It felt very emotional and organic. Apart from like the original concept, how did it really come together while you shot it in Amsterdam?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the amazing thing is that, when we thought of creating an issue altogether, we started off very, very differently. This was pre-Corona time. So, we started to think big and say, okay, let's do 3 different covers, 3 different top models, 3 different countries where we travel to. And then we did part of that. We started shooting Amber Valletta in LA. And then basically right after I came back, the world went on a lockdown.
Yeah.
And for a while we didn't shoot, obviously, and we were all, at home busy with other things. And then basically, if we wanted to finish it and go ahead with it, we needed to just completely, rethink the entire plan that we had. Much like a reflection, I think, that many people went through in this time, because everything we were used to do before this happened was a big sort of reflection, going inward and thinking like, okay, like now that everything stands still and how everything looks right now, what is it that we can do, and how also do we want to portray women and this world right now, with the fact, the given fact that we're all in right now. And this was really when that lockdown just started. So here in Amsterdam, where we stayed, everyone was staying in. And so basically, with obviously the help of the editor-in-chief, Rinke, and also Rinke Tjepkema, and also the fashion director, Dinfried and Otter, we decided that really all we could do in that moment is make a diary of that very moment. And because we couldn't reflect on it yet, because we were right bang in the middle of everything, we decided it had to be a diary, and we would just have to watch and see what was actually going on in the world and in the fashion industry. At first, obviously, all the restrictions that came with that, it's easy to focus on that, like, oh, we can't get models, we can't get the clothes, we can't get this, we can't get the teams. Nothing that we did in like the way that we usually plan a shoot. But we kind of had to go back to basics and just, have the camera and reflect and see and what was going on. So we kept it very local. Dimfy and Dan Otter and I went literally on our bikes, had my camera, and shot people in their houses behind glass, like from the outside. We, met people obviously with a safe distance and all of that, and just started a diary from scratch, and seeing if we could somehow make a little bit of a reflection of this time.
That's amazing. And I feel like the outcome reflects that intimacy and that you're just now describing. I feel like when I saw the pictures and when I saw the layout, I somehow recognized you. Would you say that that the images mirror like some of your emotions, or some of like what was going on within you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that sort of contemplation already is in a lot of my work. But I think this was really a time where I felt very strongly that it wasn't necessarily a time of saying, look, this is what I think that the truth is, and this is what I think how the world looks, and this is where I think we should be going. But it was a time of reflection and being honest about actually what we don't know, and just being willing, like, to learn and to see. And and come as close to that as possible in that time. So I didn't want to pretend like I already knew what was going on, basically. And I wanted to, I wanted to make sure to show an exploration. And that was something that was very much going on within me as well, where I kind of felt like this time of not being able to do the things that we normally do was a moment of self-reflection, right? It's like a lot of us were at home, and obviously in a way, we're privileged and lucky to self-reflect when we have a home and a roof on top of our heads. But given that fact, I felt like there was always also an obligation in that to see where we could learn, or that moment is still going on. Like how we can learn, how we can revalue things, how we can look at our lives, and maybe being strong in saying I don't know. And that's something that has been a bit of a theme for me in the last couple of months, in how quickly we can go into like a space of where we feel like we can interpret the world and we know what's going on and all of that. But there's also a strong moment, like a strong opportunity to say I don't know, and I wanna learn from what's going on.
It has been a really interesting time of I called it with my team a moment of retreat. And as well, I feel like, and I hope that it's been, the world has been put on pause, and it's like, I hope this will create a shift of consciousness worldwide towards what really, truly matters. Yeah. Which brings me to a next point, because I feel like nature plays a big role in your images. Do you have a memory about your relationship with nature that you want to share?
Well, I think, shooting a Dutch Vogue in the Netherlands, I think I wanted to, it's a country where, obviously a lot of people live in a small piece of land, and nature is easily overlooked. And I think Dutch nature has a certain subtle quality to it. And I think I wanted to show at first that nature is always around us. It's everywhere. Even in cities, you can see it like creeping up everywhere. And we can be so focused on much more of like a concrete world. And nature kind of shows us the organic way of life, like it's a metaphor for that too, obviously, is where it goes through seasons, it goes through natural changes and all of that. And it's less of a man-made world.
It's so beautiful to be aware of it. And so often we forget about it. We just take it for granted.
I know. And it's so important. I think if moments in my life I don't know, and I can go out in nature and just look at the horizon or look into nature, it's a lot of the answers just come, right? Instead of like, it's just nature is a lot in it. It's
a real
life.
moment of peace. Yeah,
for sure.
Another element that I really liked of the full issue is the handwriting on the images. Is this your handwriting?
So I did it together with Maaike Riemens. She's a wonderful artist. She has this very sort of personal way of working with pictures and with collage and with handwriting and all of that. I've known her for a very long time, and when I decided to make a diary, I really wanted to do that together with her.
Nice.
So what we decided is because she is an artist in making exactly that. We did it together. We were there, editing and making a diary of all of those images together.
What does the writing say? What is the message?
Yeah, this is an interesting story because again, in a moment where it's hard to reflect because you're right in it, it was really hard to find words. And so I was struggling with that. I know it needed words. I wanted it to be a diary, and a diary needs words. But I was struggling with what it had to be. And I wrote this whole piece and then threw it away again. And then one day, whilst I was taking pictures in the city, I saw a very small bookstore, and on the windows of the obviously closed bookstore in that time, the owner put little quotes and little notes that he loved, and that were from famous poets, famous artists, famous writers, that he felt were encouraging words. And I'm not sure if I don't think he put everything down necessarily in this Corona time. I think he already did some things before that.
Right.
But it's almost like a way to communicate without seeing each other and without being necessarily in the digital world. It's just someone being at home and putting little notes on their window. And I found that simple idea so beautiful.
Right.
Is that we took pictures of those things and ended up using those quotes.
Beautiful. And another like section that I really loved and touched me were all the images of the people on the windows. What I really liked was that everyone looked very happy.
Yeah.
And serene. And were those pictures taken at the window because of lockdown? And if yes, how did you kind of coordinate it? Like how did that come about?
I mean, it's because we shot everything here in Amsterdam. It was friends. It was friends through friends. I wanted to also show some amazing Dutch designers, amazing people from the industry, but also a grandma and grandpa from France. Just, you know, like people in Amsterdam that were staying at home.
Right.
And what was so interesting is that I thought, oh, maybe the fashion part of it will be more optimistic and also about the future, and that part of it will be quite, you know, sort of closed in a way because everyone was in their homes. But I noticed that those pictures were quite happy, which
yes.
I found really interesting because we couldn't coordinate it that much or direct it so much because sometimes I was shooting with a long lens because people were inside. But it definitely showed also that a lot of people were happy to be at home, which was quite beautiful, you know, like just it was. I didn't direct it much. I just shot.
I thought they were really beautiful, those images.
Thank you.
Last question is about another picture that I found quite fascinating, and it's the picture of the globes.
Yes.
So why did you decide to take that picture, and like what is your idea of the world today?
I mean, I found it so beautiful because again, that was something that we came across whilst biking through the city. And I noticed that how many things are like right in your own little neighborhood when you have the time to actually see them and you take the time to see them. So it was just someone that gathered globes over the years and put it up against the windowsill, and it just felt like a reflection of this time. It felt those globes were quite old and beaten up, so it felt like all of a sudden being able to just travel the world very, very easily was very fast, was just something of the past in that moment. You know, they were dusty and all of that. So it's also a bit of a reflection of how we don't take care of the earth right now for me. And how we need to refocus on that. You know, I don't know if you've ever heard of something called the overview effect, you know, that where astronauts travel and see the world from a distance, from space. And they kind of have that moment of enlightenment almost, because they can see within this vastness and this darkness, there's this incredible, beautiful, lush, gorgeous earth. And it just looks like the most wonderful utopia from
far.
From far. And being in it, we are all part of a lifestyle where we don't have that focus always. We don't see the overview. We don't have the overview effects in that matter. And I think the dusty globes kind of tell that story for me. You know, it's a wish, obviously, that people get encouraged by this time to rethink how we live on this earth.
again, as
Yeah.
we said, like there's a shift of consciousness about that too.